As Sammy had mentioned, this is part two of our series called Death to Selfie. And just to give you guys some clarification, if you missed last week, this series is not a boycotting of taking pictures of yourself, which we all agree we probably could use a little less selfies, but this is not a boycott of selfies. It's not a boycotting of social media at that. The series is really a journey. It's kind of a search to find the resolution to the conflict of self. And the selfie is really just a great example of the big problem that we have with ourselves. That we're a very narcissistic society. We love looking at ourselves, and we love people liking us and retweeting us and favoriting our tweets and all those things. I mean, we're a very narcissistic society, and so the selfie is a great example of the true problem, which is deep down in ourselves. And it's a conflict that lies between who we really are and how we would like to appear. There's a conflict between who we really are and how we would like others to perceive us. And the real conflict lies in who we really are and who we think we are supposed to be. This week, just started going back to exercise and vigor, and spring's coming soon, so let me get in the gym, let me lose a couple lbs, and I was working out back in October, November, and then I quit, and then I'm back in the thing. And so went back this week, and I'm in there working out, and at the very end, the guy who's there, and he's kind of the guy who's telling everybody what to do. Come on, man, you can do it. Come more. Last set, best set. We're just working out, doing all these things. And at the very end, he comes to me and says, "Man, Chris, just think, if you hadn't stopped, you'd be in the best shape of your life right now." So I say, okay, thanks for the reminder that A, I'm not in the best shape of my life right now. B, that I've probably gotten fatter since I left, and then C, I have to start back at square one. I appreciate that reminder. I'll see you tomorrow. I guess I don't know. But the phrase kind of hit me after he said it. Hey, just think. And I was thinking about it, and it was a very troublesome process of just thinking. And then I was pondering on this. The phrase "just think," or the process, the exercise of just thinking, can be a very negative exercise for some people mentally. Because when you just think, you can start to pull all these factors in. Just think, I could be thinner than I was in October. I could be thinner. I could be in more shape. Just think about it. I could be in better shape than I am now than I was then. Just think. You start to look around, and maybe it's through your social media feed. You start to just think about a lot of things, Just think, if I had the money that they had, I could live in that neighborhood too. Just think, if I had her cheekbones, I could be a model too. Just think, if I grew up with that type of family, I wouldn't be in half the trouble that I am. Just think, if I wasn't an alcoholic, I could have my life together. Just think, if my kids were as smart as their kids, my kids would be getting accepted to the same schools that they are. We live in a world of access. We have access to everybody's information. We have access to everybody's photographs and everybody's selfies and everybody's tweets about all these things that they're doing. And access brings awareness. And here's the problem with this, is awareness drives discontentment. In our world of access and awareness, we have this drive in us of discontentment. I see what they have, and just think, if I had what they had, my life wouldn't be as bad as it is. Oh, look at this. Just think, if I had all this free time, I'd be playing with my kids too. Just think, if I had all this stuff the same as they had, my life would be better. Awareness drives our discontentment. In our world of access, awareness, and discontentment, we are all suffering from a disease. It's an illness, and it's this illness of comparison. The illness of comparison is what we all suffer from, and it has a few symptoms. And we'll see if maybe you fall into this category. Maybe we'll diagnose you this morning, see if you're suffering from the same illness of comparison. The symptoms include just two major ones. The first symptom is the urge. If you have the illness of comparison, you suffer from the urge. You want to be richer, skinnier, shorter, happier, smarter, taller, prettier, hipper, more talented than you want some of the urge. The illness of comparison causes us to want more in our life. And this disease is contagious. It spreads from our wants for ourselves to our wants for others. Maybe you start dating, And you're on that first date and everything's cool. Oh, they're fine. I'm cool. I'll accept them as they are. A couple dates in, you want your date to have a little more too, right? You want them to be sexier and skinnier and smarter and more successful and richer and stronger and prettier, and it's not just you, it starts to be contagious and you start to project it on them. When we get married, we aren't settled with our spouses anymore. We want them to have a little bit more too. To be more romantic to be more motivated to just have a little more And when we have kids, this disease seeps its way into our wants for them also. We want our kids to be smarter and talented and start walking sooner than the other kids do. You know how it is. You know what I'm talking about. Our kids start walking at 9 months. Oh yeah, mine did it 8.5 months. Mine did it 7. Shut up, And it's usually, this illness, this symptom is usually under the guise of wanting the best for others. I want the best for my date. I want the best for my spouse. I want the best for my kids. I want to see them reach their full potential. But it has nothing to do with your date, with your spouse, with your kids. You are the one with the illness. You want them to be more successful, to be smarter, to be skinnier, so that you look better. So it makes you feel better about yourself. This is the disease. It's very wicked. It's crazy. You don't want them to reach their full potential for them. You want them to reach their full potential so that your family, your date, your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, all these things have more than your sisters and your brother's family and your friends and your church's kids and all these. You want them to have more than the person next to you. It has nothing to do with them. It's your illness. It's my illness. And so you're comparing yourself to those with more than you. Or you're looking down on those that would like to lose some of their they're fatter, slower, poorer, nerdier. You're looking at those people and like, they need to lose some of their So I'm doing okay. I wish I had more so I could be like them, but I'm not as bad as their so kind of right in the middle. And so you become superior to those people. You look into the left and they're worse. You look into the right and they're better. If this is your view, then you're suffering from the illness of comparison. Symptom number 2. These are for the advanced cases. They just don't suffer from the ers anymore. They suffer from the est. These people aren't satisfied with They want to be the est, the rich est, the smart est, the pretty est, the skinny est, the retweeted est. They want the est. They won't stop until they are the est. The illness of comparison, if untreated, will go straight to the ests quickly, and it can be nearly fatal. This is the illness of comparison. It's a big problem within us. And it lies in the area of the self. And it's an area that needs to be addressed. It's an illness that needs to be dealt with. Maybe you're sitting out here and you're having pity on me. Like, man, Chris has got problems. He's comparing himself to people. He's comparing his income and his abs and his IQ and his success. Chris has got some issues. Maybe you've never done this and maybe you've never suffered from this illness. I would say your halo seems to have slid down over your eyes and you're blind right now. Because you're dealing with it also. Maybe you can identify with this illness. And you say, man, I know exactly what you're talking about. I have a tendency to gauge my self-worth and my image and all these things on the people that are to the left of me and the people to the right of me. I know exactly what you're talking about. You're saying, man, am I okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Am I acceptable? Yeah, I guess I'm acceptable because I look at them and I'm doing all right. Am I normal? I'm not as bad as them. I'm not as good as them. I guess I'm kind of right in the middle. Yeah. Or maybe you suffer on the other side. You look over and you say, am I okay? No, I'm not okay. Am I acceptable? No way, I'm not. Am I normal? I guess not, because look what's around me. Maybe this is your view and you understand this is my illness. I'll never be as blank as them. You suffer from this symptom of this illness of comparison. Maybe you've reached your earning potential. Maybe you've reached your educational potential. Maybe you've reached your physical potential. Maybe your kids have reached their potential and they're just not going to be as smart as that other kid. And you realize that you'll never live in that neighborhood. You'll never drive that car. You'll never have a waist that size. It's not going to happen. I want to share a freeing statement with you before we get into the Word and dig into some Scripture this morning. I want to share a freeing statement with you that I heard a few years ago and it stuck with me. It's something that I remind myself all the time when I get lost in this illness and I get overwhelmed by looking to the left and looking to the right, and I suffer from these symptoms all the time. I want to share it with you this morning. There's no win in comparison. There's no win in comparison. It doesn't matter how much you have than everyone else, smarter, richer, buffer, taller, or your kids have more your spouse has more. If your hands are full, both hands are full, you will be miserable. Because you're always wondering if that thing is better than this thing. Should I let go of what I have so I can grab a hold of that? What about this one? I've been hanging on to this for a really long time. Maybe I should just let this go and grab onto this. I don't know. Are these two better? What should I do? God, should I be okay with what I have? Should I reach out for more? Do you want me to have one ambition, or do you want me to be content? This thing is old and it's busted, but I've had it for a really long time. But maybe I should let it go and just grab onto this one. Right now I got this one. Maybe I should go back to the other thing. Oh, there's a new thing. What am I going to do? If your two hands are full, you will be miserable. Because you start to see things pass in front of you. You say, well, I let go of this, maybe I can get that. This is how marriages break up. I'm content with what I have. Everything's okay. It's us together. We're going to conquer the world. Us against everybody. We're going to do this. Oh, look at that thing. Maybe I can have that thing. You'll be okay on the side, right? No. I should be a good husband. I should stay right where I am. This is what I've committed to. I've committed myself there. But what about that? All that freedom I can have over there. Ooh, she's hot. This is how miserable life begins. If your hands are full, you will be miserable. What causes us to reach out and fill both hands? It's the illness of comparison. Looking to the left, looking to the right, checking your status and comparing yourself to everyone else's. They have more I want more but there's no win in comparison. There's no finish line. When you get one and you reach out and you get another one, something else will cross in front of you and you'll wonder if what I have is good enough. That's why Solomon says, take yourself out of the race. Quit the game. It's better to have one handful and have tranquility with the other open wide than to have two fists full whenever you can get your hands on. There's no win comparison. What if we learn to live with one handful open rather than two fistfuls? What if we resisted the urge to compare? What if we resisted the urge to compete with others? Awareness drives a discontentment. So it's difficult in our current world of social media and selfies and entertainment tonight, which tells us that this star has this yacht and it's worth $1 billion. And you're like, he wasted $1 billion on a boat. I can't believe this. I can't even get a car that starts. You know what? I need that. I need to get that. I need to go there. It's difficult, right? Discontentment seeps its way into our life so suddenly. But what if we resisted the urge to reach and learn to be content? Here's a question I want you to ponder on and us to think about. What or who am I using as my reference point to tell me that I'm okay, that I'm doing all right? Is it the success of someone? Is it the failure of someone? I mean, they can't get their act together. At least I'm not them. What are we using as our gauge to tell us we're all right? Where are you looking to see if you're normal? Maybe I just need to take a second and give you a piece of free advice that I've learned from my counselor. You're human. You're normal. You're not going to be as good as the person to the right. And there's always going to be someone that's not as good as you are. But don't look to either of those to find your success. Don't look to either of those to find out if you're acceptable, okay, or normal. Look in the one hand and say, man, God's given me these things. I'm okay with that. God, whatever you choose to give me or take away, I'm going to be fine with it. I'm going to be content. Because you're only human. Ask you a few questions as we wrap up our time this morning. Rhetorical, no specific answer to them, but these maybe get the juices flowing. Are you exhausted from trying to keep up with fill in the blank? Are you broke from trying to keep up with blank? Are you allowing what others have keep you from enjoying what you have? Look at your stuff. My stuff's not as fun as their stuff. Do you enjoy your kids? Or do you just drive them crazy by pushing them in comparison to other people's children? Is it possible that your husband or wife feels less loved and valued because you're always comparing? Even non-verbally. You may never actually say it, that you wish that he was thinner than he is. You may not even say that you wish he was prettier and as pretty as this girl. You may never actually verbalize those things, but if you think it and feel it, those feelings transmit. Does your husband or wife feel less loved or valued because you're constantly comparing? Here's a weird one. Who would you secretly enjoy watching fail? Maybe some of you guys have this problem too. Who would you secretly enjoy seeing fall flat on their face? It's a scary question, isn't it? What about, how cruel are we as people, you know? Oh, you didn't get the job. Oh, sorry. Here's the downside of this. You cannot genuinely love someone you secretly hope will fail. You know? You can't truly love them deeply if secretly you're hoping they're going to fall on their face. We will never get tranquility by looking to the left and looking to the right. The secret lies in contentment and having our satisfaction in God. The writer John Piper, guy's a pastor up in Minnesota or somewhere, he says, God's most glorified in us when we are most satisfied in Him. So when we find our contentment, our satisfaction, God, I don't need to keep reaching and striving. I'm cool. God, I got what I got. I know if you want me to have more, you'll give me more. I'm going to do the best I can with what I've been given. I want to be content with what I have or may not have in this end. Contentment. Being comfortable in your own skin. Being sexy in your own skin. Being satisfied with your lot in life. Being ambitious based off of things that come into your open hand. I want to end with a verse that's in Philippians. Paul wrote this to the church of Philippi. Paul was in trouble. And they sent him money. They sent this guy to bring him a gift and to help him out. And so Paul was sending this letter back. And in this, he speaks of tranquility. He speaks of contentment. He speaks of satisfaction, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of what was happening to his left and to his right. And many of you guys will know the second verse to it, but I want to read it to you. He says, look, I know what it is to be in need. And I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. Whether I'm well-fed or I'm hungry, whether I'm living in plenty or in want. I can do this through Him who gives. Maybe you know it by the King James or New King James. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I want us to just drop the end of that verses for a second. Get our focus off of the strength that He gives us and just focus on this idea that I can do all things through God who gives. He's a giving God. He's the one that puts things in our lives and puts things in our hands, and He opens up opportunities for you. And He brings financial blessing right at the time when you absolutely need it, right? I mean, He just drops things right in your lap, and you're like, oh man, wow. There was an old saying in the church I grew up in that God was never late. He was an on-time God. You know, He was never late. He just came right on time. And I feel like He's late all the time, you know? On Kowalski time. You know? he said that about himself, wasn't he? But He just shows up right on time, right? Just right. He's the God who gives. He's the God who shows up right when He needs to. I can do all things because I serve a giving God. That I don't need to strive and reach and fill my hands with things and stuff to compare myself to all these other people. I don't need to live suffering from the illness of comparison and keep striving and reaching. And I've got this, oh, I don't want that anymore. I want this now. Oh, this isn't even good at me. I want that. I don't need to live by those things. I can say, God, I'm content with what you've given. I'm satisfied in these things. Be glorified in my life. I want to be satisfied in this. Because I know I serve a God that is giving God. And if I need it, He'll put it in my hand. If He wants to take it from me, I need to keep my hand open because not everything in my life needs to stay there. And maybe He needs to remove some things. Better is one handful with tranquility than two fists full and chasing after the wind. Let's get our eyes off of what's happening around us. Let's not be driven by what we see on social media. Let's fight the discontentment that comes with our constant awareness. Let's remember that our satisfaction comes in knowing that God is the one who gives. If that's true, then nothing else matters.